Okay, Jack, go for it.
So, I've been involved with sports probably my entire life. I've made some of my best memories out on a field. There's something about working towards a common goal with a group of people that creates such a powerful connection. It allows everybody to put away their differences and figure out that they have to work together to succeed. Sports are human life in microcosm, said famous sportscaster Howard Cosell. They're a great way to learn to deal with adversity. My name is Jack Wixson, and today I'll be talking about how sports are an exceptional way to help bring people together, change cultures, and prepare you for life. In 1995, South Africa was struggling with apartheid. It was on the brink of disaster in the country. Apartheid is a system of segregation and discrimination based on grounds of race. The famous Nelson Mandela had just been released from prison and had the difficult task to try to mend this broken country back together. This was going to be very tough, but he was a very smart man and had the clever idea to use rugby to try to bring together all of its people. Now, at the time, rugby was the symbol of apartheid, but Mandela knew the power it could have if that could be changed to be something the whole country could cheer together for. He made sure that there's a mixture of players on the team and that they're ready to be the center of attention in the country. Everything ended up lining up perfectly that year. The team went on to win the World Cup on their home turf in front of thousands of fans on television too. Many players understood at the time that the win really wasn't the most important thing that day. It was that the whole country came together and saw what could happen when everybody worked together and that there's nothing to fear anymore related to the struggles going on. This single sports team in victory finally gave people a reason to embrace each other, and it led South Africa away from the dark path that it was heading down. This is just one example of sport bringing people together to fight back against corrupt ideology. Another is back in the 1930s when the United States had multiple instances of this. Hitler was in power and trying to spread his ideas of Aryan superiority in the Olympics, and the United States had many stars. One of them was Jesse Owens, who was a track star, who went over to Berlin to prove a point. Owens racked up 3 gold medals, broke numerous world records, and also shattered the image of Aryan superiority in front of the world. A few years after him, another man by the name of Joe Louis, who was an American boxer, fought Max Schmeling, who was Germany's best boxer in the world. Louis knocked out Schmeling in the first round. It was a perfect example of good guy versus bad guy and freedom versus fascism. These events embarrassed Hitler on a world stage, but most importantly, destroyed him and his image in front of his own country. Both of these athletes used their excellence in sports to help bring the world together against Germany, but to also prove themselves back home, where they hope to keep on improving their own race relations. Another thing that sports have the power to do is change cultures. Back in 1973, gender inequality was unfortunately a large part of America's culture. Billie Jean King was a tennis star who challenged former world champion Bobby Riggs in what became known as the Battle of the Sexes tennis match, after Riggs claimed that there is no woman in the entire world who could defeat him. Well, she smoked him on a world stage and on national television, and was the most attended tennis match in history at the time. She became a person for people to look up to, and she empowered women to keep standing up for what they believed in. This was very important because people had been hearing about all these issues all the time, but she really put a face on it and became a symbol for change. Many years before her, another large part of America's negative culture that needed to be changed was racism. Back in the 1940s, the Jim Crow laws had yet to be abolished, but in 1947, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier and became the first black professional baseball athlete. Now, he was much better than most in his time and a future Hall of Famer, but the most important thing he did was probably off of the field. He would get heckled at games, and people would shout racist remarks and all sorts of terrible things at him, and he kind of just had to deal with it, and nobody did much to stop it. Towards the end of the season, though, one of his teammates fellow shortstop Pee Wee Reese went up to Jackie in one of these terrible events when it was happening and put his arm around him and stood by his side. Now this may not seem like much, but his small gesture of goodwill really helped drive change. People saw that and thought that they should be more like him and thought that, why not, we can change too. This was another time when a huge change in the country was seemingly in the works and it turned towards sports to lead the way. Jackie was a hero in people's eyes, and he had the power to make people believe that they could continue his legacy and further his work. The changes he created were things that most people didn't dream could happen in his lifetime, but he swayed all the people and pushed the country in the right direction. The miracle on ice. One of the craziest upsets in all of sports history. The seemingly impossible task for a bunch of college kids to defeat the Russians in the Olympic Games. Now, many just remember it for how improbable their win seemed to be and that they made history, but to the players, it was much more than that. They knew all the time they put in before that would pay off. They had been through tedious practices and worked their tails off just to get in the position to win. And they knew after that what they went through, they had been prepared for life because they learned how to succeed. Now this has been made into a movie, and fans of all ages and fellow hockey players know that they can do anything that they set their mind to because of this, and they have a special bond with it. Now, the final work I did for my project was take pictures at Bow Youth football games. Now, I was able to document multiple games, including the 8th graders' playoff run and championship victory. I know that when my team won the championship in 8th grade is something that I will always remember, and I hope that these kids will too. You remember all the little things that happened leading up to it and how it shaped who you are. And I hope that by taking pictures at some of these games, I could do that for some of these kids. I think that taking photos is important to look back, be able to remember how different things shaped who you became. Whether it be a championship win, that you remember all the hard work you put in for it, or going on a vacation, you remember all the time and effort it took to save up all that money. When these moments are captured and looked back upon, you never forget how you got there. I hope that by giving back some of my time, I will be able to do this for some of the kids in the future when they look back on their championship game and they remember all the work it took for them to get there to succeed. So, in conclusion, I will, as I'm sure many athletes will, always remember the hundreds of hours of hard work you put in any sport, whatever sport you love, trying to work together with your team to succeed. The backstories of all these great sports moments I talked about are usually just as important and memorable as the moments themselves. So, when the next great sports moment happens somewhere in the world, I hope that you will think back to some of these and see if it symbolized something greater, or if it brought people together to change. Or if it's something more personal, like a championship win, I hope that you will look back and think of the hard work it took to get there will bring you some skills to prepare in life. Thank you. Are there any questions? Perfect. Nice.
Oh, like who record? Well, it is recording, actually.
You know, Ryan, we're good.
He let you
To the tune of $750.
It was not super cool, was it?
Just told Sarah, she's like, oh, I napped on that. So I know.
I mean, I straight up took a nap. Things don't have to be equal, right?
No. No, the blue one was different. It wasn't, remember how that one was like fabric on the sides? The blue one was like plastic. So that first one was like, there was a 25% off some kind of
So whether you're in your car, at work, at school, after school, before a game, how many of you guys listen to music? Most of us, right? Do you know that 91% average Americans listen to music daily? So I'm here to talk about music today, and how music can affect a person's mood, mental health, and physical health, all in a positive way. On the screen above me is a picture of my grandfather and my grandmother. When I was at the age between 8 and 12, I used to go to Maine and play piano with my grandmother. Music was her whole entire life. She played piano, she played the guitar, and she danced. She loved it. Music was her life. In February 2018, my grandmother passed away. Before she passed, I told her that I would pick up piano again. So that's what I wanted to do for my senior project. I wanted to learn to play piano and have a place to remember her. But I knew I couldn't do this by myself. So I asked a friend, Miss Brooke Palmer, who thankfully is here today. We worked since the beginning of senior sem on Tuesdays, and she helped me know what I need to practice, what I need to do. But I wanted to do something big. So at the end of my project, I wanted to know a whole entire song. But a song that meant something to me, a song that I liked, a song that I could listen to it and think of the words in my head. So at the time, it was Jet Black Heart by 5 Seconds of Summer. And the next slide I have is the video. So now for the research. So what I wanted to research, I needed to research something that was related to piano. And it took me a really long time to think about it. There were so many different things I could do, but I wanted to think about how music affects me in my life. So that's where I came up with the 3 categories: mood, physical health, and mental health. So let's talk about mood. Our mood can change very drastically at any point. I definitely feel that, especially in school. I might be having a great day and all of a sudden the teacher will throw something at me and I'm stressed out. Or I get angrier, you know. So I talked with 2 of our music head department, Miss Jakes and Miss Evans. And a quote I got from Miss Evans: "We feel our students leave having a better day, are filled with joy and ready to learn. Music can be therapeutic to our bodies and our mind." And I thought that was a really powerful quote for how she feels our students get out of music, especially being a music teacher, and she can see the change through one day of music. So our physical health. You might be thinking, how can music physically help you? It might not be on the outside, but on the inside, how our body's working. When I was doing my research, I came upon the Harvard Health Publishing. When they said, when you listen to your favorite music, it can help slow down heart rates and blood pressure when they're at an unusual level. They also talked about how in surgeries, when the person's under in surgery, they might notice the heart rate starts to go up. And they put headphones on them, and they've seen changes in the heart rates during surgery. Now, mental health. Music interventions have been used to reduce anxiety and distress, plus improve psychological in medical patients, states Cheryl from a British Medical Research Foundation. She specializes in music therapy and how music can affect people's mental health. So in conclusion, I just want you to leave here thinking, next time you listen to music, whether it's in school, at home, wherever, what is that music actually doing for you? Do you notice a change in your life when you listen to music? Thank you. Any questions? Ms. Power?
Are you going to continue playing piano?
I was going to take piano next semester, but